Hi, I'm Liz Conway, and I am here for our author spotlight with Dr. Tamsin Astor. Thank you so much for being here.
It's my pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
Great. So we're going to talk about your book today, Force of Habit, Unleash Your Power by Developing Great Habits. So let's start off. You're from Shaker Heights, but it might sound like she's originally from somewhere else. So tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got to be here.
Sure. I was born in central London, grew up not far from Portobello Market, Notting Hill, which was very different when I grew up. It was a big sort of thriving Afro-Caribbean community with amazing food. Now it's where all the rich American bankers live and the Russian oligarchs. So it's got a very different energy. I moved to the US in 2002 to do a postdoctoral fellowship after my PhD in neuroscience. And I was in St. Louis for a few years, and I've been in Cleveland since 2007.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
So can you tell us a little bit about your professional background? As I said, you're a doctor, and there is so much great information in this book. So I'd love for you to share your background and all of the knowledge that you have that brought you to this.
Awesome. So I did research in neuroscience because I was really interested in the relationship between intentional and reactive action in the motor cortex and what was going on in terms of, when we plan an action versus when we're reacting to the external world, which actually leads very well into what I do now around habits. After I'd finished my PhD, I realized I didn't want to spend my whole entire life contributing to a body of knowledge that was going to be used at some point, but that wasn't having an immediate effect on people's lives. I wanted more of an immediate impact to help people and support people in their personal evolution. So I then did a postdoctoral fellowship in education in St. Louis, and I loved that, but then became a little guarded about the model of academia and the political fiefdoms and the departments and the negotiating for money and the trying to get off your teaching duty and all of that stuff. So when we moved to Cleveland, I tried being a stay-at-home mother and was like, God bless you ladies who do it. It was not my cup of tea. So I moved into the world of yoga, which had kept me sane during that period of transition with my two sons. And I started working with yoga in a therapeutic sense too. So using yoga and meditation for underserved teenage girls in the Cleveland Metropolitan School District, working with children on the autism spectrum disorder, working with children with ADHD, working with counselors and therapists, how to use yoga and meditation and mindfulness to improve quality of life, right? One of my children got cancer. I fell into a cycle of bad, unhealthy habits and symptoms, really, that no Western allopathic doctor could identify. It was like, oh, you're not sleeping. We'll try. Is there apnea? There's no apnea. Is there test. And they just gave me pills. And I was like, no, I'm not going to just suppress symptoms. And that's what led me to Ayurveda, which is the science of life is what it translates as, Ayurveda. And it's the Indian version of traditional Chinese medicine. It's a sort of model of healthcare. And the biggest part of it is looking at the context of your life. So healthy in the East is absent of disease. Healthy in the West is, healthy in the East rather, is defined as, are you seated in the self? So in the West, absence of disease. In the East, are you seated in yourself? So it was a very different way of thinking about what it means to be a healthy human. I healed myself with it. So then I got certified in Ayurveda. I then got certified as an Ayurvedic health coach and started using this with clients along with my teaching of yoga and meditation and all of that. And then I got trained in executive coaching, and then I got trained in mindset coaching. I've got a million trainings and certifications, but essentially what I do is I weave the East and West together with this idea of uniting our mind, our body, our energy, our spirit, whatever, our soul, depending on your faith and how you live in the world, with who you want to be, so where you want to go, this big vision of your ideal self, right? Not the ought self. I ought to look this way. I ought to want this based on the fact that I'm a, white 45-year-old mother, right? Along with how do I create the habits to get me there? So that's basically how I evolved into the chief habit scientist. I'm weaving the habits of neuroscience and an understanding of the brain with a lot of the healthy habits around sleeping and eating and exercising and mindfulness that we traditionally think of as the sort of Eastern ways of understanding and supporting our systems.
Absolutely. So, I mean, right in the title, Force of Habit, we want to develop great habits. Is it really as simple as sleeping and eating and just getting through our day in a certain way? Like, how can is there anything in the book that, obviously there's so much great information, and it's not just a book to sit and read, it's almost like a workbook, right?
Right, exactly. Yeah. So, I mean, I think one of the things that's interesting is I didn't want to say, just eat kale, sleep 7 hours a night, and exercise, because that would be really freaking boring, right? Like, nobody's going to want to read that book. So I think one of the things that I try to do in there is remind people that we make 35,000 decisions every day. And I'm 35,000. And I'm convinced that, like, single parents make 50,000, 70,000, people who run their own business make 100, right? Mm-hmm. So the problem with that is it leads to decision fatigue, right? And marketers use that, like, against us, right? So when you go to the grocery store, all the candy and trashy magazines are there. Why? Because you've just made 3,000 decisions walking around the grocery store. Do I get the almond milk? Do I get the oat milk? Do I get the vanilla milk? Do I get the unsweetened milk? Do I get the almond coconut blend of the... And that's just like one tiny section of the dairy department, right? You haven't done anything else. So if you can reduce the number of daily decisions you make by creating systems around the habits that you need to do, around the habits that you want to do because they tie into your bigger life vision, then you have more time and energy. You're basically releasing the prefrontal cortex to, like, do fabulous things, have fun, find joy, read recipes, activate your activism roots, be with your kids, learn to knit, watch Queer Eye, like all those things in our lives that we feel like we have too much, going on. We can create automated systems because our brain wants to. Our brain wants to create automation to serve us.
Wow, that's amazing. I would love for people to know where they can find your book and find out more about you because, like I said, this book is really powerful, and I think we want to get it into the right hands. So let us know where we can find your book and find out more about all this great work you're doing.
So currently you can find it locally in Northeast Ohio at Breathe Cleveland, which is a yoga studio in Pinecrest, where I'm also teaching yoga. Wonderful. And you can find it on Amazon. And to find out more about me, my website is my name, Tamsin Astor, ASTOR.com, or I'm a lot on Facebook. I'm a little bit on Instagram too, but Facebook, because I'm, a chatty bugger, and I like to think and read, and I'm obviously very nerdy, but I'm also quite chatty and outgoing. So find me on Facebook, where all of us, middle-aged white women hang out.
Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for watching. Everyone, please go out and grab Force of Habit. Unleash your power by developing great habits. Thank you again for being here.